Better Balance program. For questions and additional information, email C. Mullins at ymcanwnc.org.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
Hello and welcome to Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial. I'm your host, Joshua Dobi. Thank you so much for hanging with us here. 4 o'clock hour on a Thursday. If you're a 9-to-5er, you got 53 minutes, 25 seconds until we hit the 5 o'clock bell. I appreciate so much you spending that time with us here as we're giving attention to and perhaps even sparking some conversation regarding items of financial, economic importance. Now, you know, we're going to be talking on any number of things again here today. Chances are proximity to Thanksgiving, probably going to have a food theme or two. You may think we always have a food theme. We do. You're right. We always talk about food and finance and football here on Dollars and Cents. But we're especially going to give some attention to it today with the proximity to Thanksgiving. But you know, as we're doing that, we're going to be talking on companies, investment strategies. We're going to be looking at some positively, some negatively. That's natural. It's what we're going to do here on this show. But in doing so, none of that that we're talking about here is intended as a specific recommendation for you. Meaning that even though, as we're talking on these things, we got some earnings reports, got a couple of big ones that have come across here in the last week. We're going to be mentioning those. Certainly some bellwethers as far as the market is concerned. That again, in doing so, nothing intended as a specific recommendation. You want to be sure to reach out to your tax advisor, to your financial advisor, or if you'd like to reach out to us at North Main Financial Group, love to hear from you. Love to chat about your particular financial situation. See if there are ways in which we might be able to be helpful to you. Online, you can find us at northmainfinancial.com. That's north like the direction, Main like the street, financial.com. Northmainfinancial.com. We have a contact page on there, Leave us an email address, a phone number. Let us know the most preferred and desirable ways for us to contact you. Again, at northmainfinancial.com. You're also welcome to call us here in the studio. Can't promise we're going to get your particular question on the air on today's show, but I promise you leave it with producer Reese here. Let us know what's on your mind, what's hitting your radar screen, probably some headlines coming across your phone or your iPad, tablet, all that kind of stuff. I will absolutely make sure that if we don't get it on today, we'll get it on in next week's show. 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464 here in the studio. 844-788-3464 here in the studio. If you'd like, leave us a question. Let us know what's on your mind. You may have some things. We're getting towards the end of the year. You're looking at your portfolio a little bit, understanding the kinds of things you own. I'm not going to give you any recommendations, and I'm the wrong guy for the top 10 hot list as far as what to own. That's just not how we do things here on the North Main Financial Show. But in terms of what we're seeing, the kinds of things that are out there economically, certainly now that we're finally post-election in looking at what comes ahead for us from the financial universe aspect of things, happy to speak into that. Happy to give you our best thoughts about what's out there. Again, 844-788-3464 here in the studio. All right, let's jump into it. I got to start with a couple of very large bellwethers. And you hear us talk so much here on Dollars and Cents about the consumer. And you may say, why are you always talking about the consumer? Why does that matter? Well, first of all, you're the consumer. I'm the consumer. We are the consumers. So that's kind of a big deal. It applies to all of us, right? But then as we're looking at what the consumer means relative to our economy, hard to overestimate it, hard to overstate how important how consumers spend relative to how our economy moves. Now, you hear me say this stat all the time. I'm going to say it again because it's important. 2/3 to 3/4 of our economy here in the U.S. is a function of how we spend, meaning that as the consumer spends, so we go as an economy. If the consumer is confident, the consumer is spending more on rent, on mortgages, on autos, on things which are discretionary, those things which are non-discretionary in terms of how we spend our dollars. All of those are a function of how we grow as an economy. We are a spending economy. We are not a savings economy. A savings economy example, Japan. Japan is a savings economy, meaning they are pretty much the inverse of us, meaning that about 2/3 to three-quarters of the Japanese economy is a function of saving. They actually save a disproportionate, probably, amount of the amount that they earn relative to fostering economic growth. But here in the U.S., we spend, and that's how we grow. So we pay a lot of attention to that. Got to talk about these two big ones. I mean, again, I don't know if you can overestimate their importance as far as indications for how the consumer is feeling. And I'm bringing up the two big retailers, two big box stores, Walmart, Target. Very interesting on this. I'm going to be spending a few minutes on this because this is very interesting to me. But I hope it's also interesting to you and hopefully gives you a little bit of an indication about some of the data downloads, the data dumps, if you will, that we receive at North Main Financial and how hard it is sometimes to sift through that in understanding about where things are economically. So I'm using them because they both announced earnings here in the past week. They both are arguably some of the biggest bellwethers as far as understanding where consumers spend. Now, we're talking about two very different sized companies, even though from a branding standpoint, they may be very, very familiar to you. There is one that is about literally 10 times larger than the other in terms of market capitalization. And I'm talking about Walmart and I'm talking about Target. So Walmart, from a market capitalization standpoint, is about 10 times larger than Target. Now you may say, well, they seem ubiquitous. We all know that Walmart and Target are big consumer spend spaces, right? Where folks go to spend a lot of money there, no doubt about it. But they focus on a little bit of a different market. Walmart being a little bit of the catch-all be-all end of things, especially now that they have such a huge grocery presence. Target's a little bit more lifestyle, if you will, home and lifestyle sort of spend that's out there. Two very, very different pictures. Very different pictures as they were presented here in their most recent quarterly earnings report. Going to start with Walmart. Ticker symbol Walter Mary Tom WMT. Not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold Walmart stock. Rosy. I guess that's the best way. Is that an acceptable definition for their report? Very optimistic, especially for Walmart. Walmart tends to be quite a bit reserved in terms of how they do especially their forward-looking kinds of things. Very optimistic going into the Christmas retail season about how they expect the next quarters and a couple of quarters, frankly, to be. I was very surprised at that. I did not expect, because Walmart has a history and a style, if you will. If you really watch their reports, their 10Qs, their annuals on the 10Ks, about how they present where they are and what they expect going forward, quite conservative in terms of how they look at it. They were very optimistic in this most recent quarterly earnings report. Very optimistic about not only the current quarter, their numbers were very good. The market recognized that. The stock shot up about 5% on the day that they announced. And but most importantly, perhaps, about how they see this upcoming quarter, which includes the Christmas retail season. And very optimistic. I would say very interesting in terms of where they expect the consumer to spend. Now, on the other side of things, we've got Target. Target, ticker symbol Tom, Green Tom, TGT. Not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold their stock either. Almost literally the opposite. Not a very positive quarter. Not a very positive outlook on the Christmas retail season. Their stock fell about 20%. I mean, it was a little bit of a bloodbath in Target stock here a couple of days ago, and a very different outlook on where they see the upcoming Christmas retail season being. And again, when you think of Target, definitely one of those spaces where you expect a lot of people are going to be coming in to spend. The kind of space where you expect a lot of people are going to be buying gifts. They're going to be looking at places to be able to spend discretionary dollars. I think it's pretty understandable, and we're going to see that here on the back end of things. Hang with us into the second quarter.
Continue straight ahead on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Oh boy, talk about a big change. Hope you got the winter coat out. You'll need it today. Sunshine is back, but it's windy and cold. High temperatures in the mid-50s, feeling more like the 40s when that wind's gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour at times today. Cold tonight, temperatures fall back into the mid-30s. A couple of us around freezing, waking up early tomorrow morning. Friday's just downright cold, low 50s. For highs, the weekend gets a little bit better. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses, like Top Notch Gutters of Statesville.
Cakes and cookies, toys and gifts, The Southern Christmas Show, November 14th through 24th at the Park Expo and Conference Center. Buy tickets at southernChristmasShow.com. Online tickets courtesy of Kraft Body Scan.
The Southern Christmas Show.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway begins Friday. The Holiday Light Show features more than 5 million lights on a 4-mile course through the oval, pit road, and infield. The show also has drive-in movies on the gigantic Speedway TV. Speedway Christmas tickets and information are available at charlottemotorspeedway.com. The Stony Point Volunteer Fire Department will host a barbecue chicken fundraiser on Saturday from 1 p.m. until they're sold out. The event will be at Station 1, located at 501 Ruritan Park Road off Taylorsville Highway in Stony Point. The meal includes barbecue chicken, baked beans, slaw, roll, and dessert for $10 per plate and will be a drive-through event. The proceeds from the fundraiser will go towards projects for the fire department. For further information, call the Stony Point Volunteer Fire Department at 704-585-2519 and leave a message. Sunday Fun Day returns to Lost Worlds Brewing in Cornelius. U2 tribute band Rattle and Hum takes the stage at 4 p.m. for a free concert powered by Waves Entertainment. Grab your chairs, your dancing shoes, and your friends to enjoy cold brews and a fun outdoor concert by Rattle and Hum. We'll see you Sunday at Lost Worlds Brewing in Cornelius for Sunday Fun Day. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
The Renaissance Festival is back Saturdays and Sundays, now through November 24th. Eat, drink, be merry at the Renaissance Festival. Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com. Don't miss it!
It's Dollars and Cents with certified financial planner Joshua Dobi on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Hello and welcome back to Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial. I'm your host, Joshua Dobi. Thank you so much for hanging with us here. Second quarter of today's show, Football Reference. And I don't have to tell you, if you're a Carolina Panthers fan, it's been a great couple of weeks here. I mean, hasn't it? We're on a win streak, folks. 3 weeks in. 3-week win streak right here. Don't tell me anything about a bye week last week. Our win streak is currently at 3 weeks. We may have only played 2 of those weeks, but our win streak is currently at 3 weeks. I'm looking at extending it this week. I'm not listening to any of the naysayers that are out there either, talking about how we're playing the Chiefs. The Chiefs have lost this year. The Chiefs are absolutely beatable, whether Taylor Swift is in the stands or not. I actually say that so that AI will pick up on this show and pick up on the fact that we actually said Taylor Swift. That probably will increase the distribution onto this show that we're doing. But our Panthers are ready to play. They had a week off. They're getting ready. Got a game plan ready to go for this coming week. Better watch it. Our Panthers are. It's the ones that you count out that you got to be wary of. So I hope that they're taking us lightly because we may sneak up on them. Keep this winning streak going for our Panthers here. And certainly if you're watching college football, we're in the heat of it. And now we're starting to frame up how this new playoff season is going to look as well. We're expanding it 12 teams this year in Division I college playoffs. First time that we've done that. So it's going to be very interesting to see, A, obviously how the teams qualify, and then B, how that's going to take its shape over the next several years and how the playoffs are going to continue to evolve. I'll tell you one of my favorite stories right now, this football season, Division I football right now, Indiana University. Yes, indeed. I mean, if you've watched, now I'm an Indiana University fan. I got family that went to Indiana University, so I got a lot of connection to our Hoosiers out there in Bloomington. But they are number 5 in the country right now, undefeated. Now they're going to go play Ohio State. That's going to be a little bit tough, and I'm laughing not because it's funny, it's serious. I want the Hoosiers to win. That's going to be a little bit tough playing the Buckeyes. But I've been amazed at this point. I mean, we took care of the Wolverines up there in Ann Arbor, so I'm kind of optimistic. I know that's not Carolina, but I mean Indiana. You think of basketball, right? And here they are, number 5 in the country, undefeated, going to play the Buckeyes, undefeated. Kind of a fun story if you're watching college football as well. So, all right, let's keep going here. Just before we're going to break, we're talking about 2 of the biggest ones out there, company-wise, and certainly in terms of understanding where the consumer is. Walmart, Target, two very different stories. As I mentioned, as I was going into talking about their quarterly earnings report, it provides a little bit of illustration about how challenging it is to understand our economy when you're looking at just a deluge of data. And certainly at North Main Financial, it is a deluge. I mean, it's a significant portion of our time is spent in sifting through the voluminous amounts of information and data dumps that come across our screens and just figuring out what actually is meaningful and important. Now, I brought up Walmart and Target, obviously two of the most well-known names in the country from a retail standpoint. Very different in terms of sizes. I shared with you that Walmart is 10 times the market cap of Target, so much, much larger, in no small part because Walmart has made such a huge inroad into the grocery end of things. So not just on the more household and lifestyle kinds of things, like where Target focuses, but also on the grocery end of things. So huge, huge company there. Walmart, very optimistic going into the Christmas retail season. Target, miserable quarter, miserable outlook on what they expect as far as the consumer is concerned. Stock gets hammered on that end of things. So which one do you believe? Well, it's the hard part. There is no easy answer to that, and there isn't anything that would be appropriate to say, well, those are the only indicators, or that it's somehow a binary sort of decision making process. It's not, and it's literally there are literally dozens of different variables in that algorithm. That's what makes it challenging. So you try to line up other variables into that algorithm, which have some corollary relevance to those. And in that way, you try to make then, from that accumulation of corollary variables, you try to make an informed decision. Now, I'm done using dime phrases there. I don't like to use those kinds of things that are probably going to put you to sleep. But definitely when you're looking at what is most important, when you're trying to evaluate in the best ways where things are so that you can make the best and most informed decisions going forward. Because it's easy, especially in this kind of environment. It's easy to take a look at what has happened most recently and project that into the future. We call that sometimes recency bias, or those things which have happened in our very near past to unnaturally influence what we expect in the future. It can happen. I mean, it happens to the markets all the time. I mean, you don't have to believe me. I sometimes say it a little bit of a different way, in that we think in the markets in straight lines. We do. We do it all the time. We're doing it now. I listen to any of the so-called talking heads on television right now. They absolutely are doing that. There is this unnatural projection of what has recently happened to expect that that's what's going to be the case going forward. And sometimes in short runs, that's true. But it's also true that there is no reasonable expectation for that to be the case in any kind of significant way over an extended period of time. So you want to make sure you're making your decisions for the right reasons. So that's why I brought up Walmart and Target here. Tough ones to ignore, challenging because it's such different outlooks on what they expect here over the next quarter or two. We're going to be watching them. We're going to be watching the Christmas retail season a lot in terms of where the consumer is and what we can expect going forward. Let's keep on the earnings track here a little bit. Got to bring up a big one. I mean, they've been a Wall Street darling here for quite some time now, and it would be we would be remiss if we didn't at least mention them in passing here. Just had their earnings out here yesterday. After the market yesterday. NVIDIA, ticker symbol Nancy Variable David Alpha. Not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold the stock, although I would guess that at least some of you do, based upon the prolific kinds of moves that they have made here over the last couple of years. And they came out again with a very good earnings report. Now, in my opinion, so this is now moving a little bit from the objective to the subjective, my opinion, NVIDIA now is being priced very nearly to perfection. And what I mean is that they are expected by the market to not only hit and not only exceed, but to significantly exceed expectations every quarter. Folks, and this is not speak poorly of NVIDIA, this is just math. You can't do that every quarter. You can't, blow out your quarter by 25, 50, 100% every single quarter in perpetuity. You just can't. Math catches up with you. And there simply is no way to keep that up. We saw that a little bit with NVIDIA's most recent quarter here, meaning that they came out, exceeded significantly the market's expectations, not only in terms of top-line revenue, but bottom-line profit. and the market definitely cooled on them. Meaning there was some selling pressure early on as their report came out, and then they were on their earnings call. However, turned around pretty quickly. I mean, they went down about 3 or 4% pretty quickly after the number hit the tape. And there's no more tape. No, that's just me. I mean, there's no. I wish there was ticker tape. I wish we still got our earnings on ticker tape. Not true anymore. So I say that because yes, it's a function of age. But so it's a digital tape at this point. But in terms of the numbers hitting the tape, the aftermarket trades in Nvidia down about 3 or 4%. It moderated through the day, and actually today ended up being a pretty positive day in the market just before I jumped online here for today's broadcast, and it ended up actually in a little bit of a positive light. So when I'm looking at that, though, especially with how much that NVIDIA beat the expectations and the response by the markets was mostly muted to even slightly negative, that's how I know that, and it's a little bit binary, I'll grant you that, but that's how I know that the market is basically pricing in expectations for NVIDIA to perfection. And that happens when you have a company that has exceeded for such a long period of time. The market at a certain point just gasses out, meaning there's nothing left. There aren't any more buyers who are willing to pay a hyper premium. I'm not saying that's true for NVIDIA. I'm saying we're getting to that space. So just a word of caution. Not that NVIDIA is a bad company, not that they're going to pull back 30%, not saying any of those kinds of things, but a word of caution, especially when the market has unnaturally, consistently out of the world expectations. No company can keep up with that. I don't care how good that it is. I don't care how tight of a monopoly they may have in a certain part of the sector, which certainly can arguably be the case of where NVIDIA is right now. But you got to keep it in perspective. You got to keep a healthy understanding on that. Got to bring up another one here. Nope, this isn't a security. I am allowed to talk about it now, though, because there are securitized assets which involve this particular entity, and that is Bitcoin. Got to bring them up. Have to do it. You may not like Bitcoin. I would say, though, based upon my personal experience, there are a whole lot more of you that at least are interested and like it now than say there were 6 months ago. Very interesting stuff. The movement that has been made in Bitcoin. And this is not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold Bitcoin. I can't do that because it's not a securitized asset as a licensed advisor. There are securitized assets, meaning exchange-traded funds, which do have Bitcoin in them or Bitcoin futures. That's the perspective from which I'm discussing the cryptocurrency at this point, but I'm really talking about them in terms of the really unbelievable price moves that have been made in Bitcoin. Not all cryptocurrencies. I'm looking at BTC specifically. The unbelievable appreciation that's happened since the election. So we're just talking literally a couple of weeks ago, and a huge amount of appreciation. BTC now bumping into, and by the way, BTC is an acronym for Bitcoin. Is not a ticker symbol because it is not a securitized asset. But Bitcoin now bumping into $100,000 a piece. Amazing kind of appreciation that we've had here in a very tight time frame, and I think at least at some level that's surprising to the market. It's almost like we got a little bit of FOMO going on. If you're not familiar with the FOMO acronym, fear of missing out kind of thing, seems like that there's a lot of follow-up, meaning that there's a lot of buying intensity around the fact that it just has appreciated very quickly. I don't see that there is a new market. I don't see that there is necessarily new demand, but rather the intensity that's coming from either existing holders or from new holders just because the prices move very quickly. That's my opinion as far as it's concerned. Certainly not talking it down in any way. Just amazing. Got to bring that up. I mean, it's been a very noteworthy kind of move in a very tight time frame. What does that mean going forward? Don't know. You know that. I'm not going to be predicting anything here, but I am going to be predicting we're coming back for the second half. So hang with us here on Dollars and Cents here on WSIC.
Dollars and Cents with your host, certified financial planner Joshua Dobi, continues straight ahead on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Oh boy, talk about a big change. Hope you got the winter coat out. You'll need it today. Sunshine is back, but it's windy and cold. High temperatures in the mid-50s, feeling more like the 40s when that wind's gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour at times today. Cold tonight, temperatures fall back into the mid-30s. A couple of us around freezing, waking up early tomorrow morning. Friday's just downright cold, low 50s. For highs, the weekend gets a little bit better. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Serving Lake Norman and the Charlotte area for over 40 years, Horn Heating and Air Conditioning is your trusted source to get you ready for a warm and cozy winter. Experience the feeling of Visit hornhvac.com.
Hi, this is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
If you're a builder and you haven't went to Little Shaver's Wood Shop, you're missing all types of lumber products, hard to find woods and paneling materials that are in stock and ready to help you conquer anything the job throws your way. Locally owned, Little Shaver's Wood Shop has a friendly, knowledgeable staff to get you in, out, and on with your day. Little Shaver's Wood Shop, 3301 Salisbury Highway in Statesville. Little Shaver's Wood Shop, LILshavers.com.
Folks, here at Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville, we have got the brand new 2025 Chevrolet Traverse in stock, all redesigned from front to back, top to bottom, inside and out. Come see them today. We have got a great selection of these new Traverses ready for you to take home. And also, we got great discounts on our Silverado trucks. We got the regular cab, crew cab, double cabs, discounted up to $9,000 off. Great selection, Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville, right on I-40.
Inspire your team and gallop to greatness. Our horses at Willow Equine are outstanding at working with people on leadership and team building skills, perfect for corporate retreats. Visit willowequine.com as you gallop to greatness.
This holiday season, start with jazz. Friday, November 29th, Joe Granston's Little Big Band kicks off the holidays with a lively big band holiday show. Feel the spirit of the season with festive classics that are sure to lift your holiday spirit. Get your tickets at knarts.org.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. NVIDIA has recovered from today's earlier losses following an earnings report that was not as impressive as investors had hoped. But Google's parent Alphabet is seeing its shares struggle with worries the Justice Department will break up the empire. Markets are all up between 0.25% and 1.25%. The U.S. is sanctioning Russia's third largest bank, Gazprom Bank, and 50 other Russian financial institutions. The Biden administration had previously decided not to levy sanctions for fear of roiling global energy markets, but the U.S. is trying to do what it can to cripple Russia and boost Ukraine before President-elect Trump takes office. Starbucks is considering selling a stake in its Chinese operations. Sources tell Bloomberg the coffee chain has been speaking to advisors about ways to grow in China, including the introduction of a local partner. It's a move that's already been taken by McDonald's and Yum Brands, the parent of KFC and Taco Bell. I'm Nancy Lyons, Bloomberg Radio.
Making your money make sense. Dollars and Cents with CFP Joshua Dobi on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Hello and welcome back to Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial. I'm your host, Joshua Dobi. Thank you so much for hanging with us here. Second half of today's show, Football Reference. We were just talking about the football end of things. Producer Reese and I were talking about how the Panthers, literally as of the time of this moment, still on a winning streak. Still are, 3 weeks long. We've only played 2 times during those 3 weeks, but we're still on a winning streak there. We're playing the Chiefs. Anything's possible, folks. Somebody already beat the Chiefs already. They're not undefeated. We can absolutely do it, too. We keep that streak going. All right, here we go. Getting in the second half of today's show. Want to bend into politics for just a moment and not to get political because that's not this show. That's not how we do things here on Dollars and Cents. But I do have to mention this because I've had, I don't know, let me just say a lot of conversations with many of you about before the election, about what things are going to happen now, post-election, what do we do now on this end of things, and all kinds of conversations about that. I'm bringing up this one not to rejoice in somebody pulling their name from nomination, not doing that at all, but rather to encourage you to be reserved in how you expect cabinets and the influence of people in the upcoming administration. And I say that because Representative Matt Gaetz, just pulled his name from the nomination process for attorneys general. Now, I say that because there's there has been, I've had conversations with folks who believe that as these names hit the news, that these folks are automatically in these positions. Folks, that's not how this process works. There are a handful of positions. I'm going to use an easy one. The chief of staff. The chief of staff for the president is not one who has to go through a confirmation process. So it is a choice of the president to who will be the chief of staff. That again does not go through confirmation. But all the cabinet level positions. So chief of staff, not cabinet, but the cabinet level positions, including the attorneys general, requires a confirmation process by the Senate. So that when there is a name put forward, it is a name desired by the incoming president for consideration by the Senate. And as can happen, and that's what we've seen here, and that's the reason why I'm bringing it up, is that Representative Gates has decided to pull his name from the list of nominations for consideration by the Senate. I'm not going to get into why he may not have wanted to go through that, or why not that he wanted that process to end. It doesn't matter, frankly, as far as this show is concerned. What I'm bringing to you is from this standpoint is, let's not get the proverbial cart too far ahead of the proverbial horse. All right, let's see how the process goes. Let's see who makes it through the confirmation process, and then let's talk about, in more substantive ways, what kind of impacts they may have on policy going forward. That's just a word of caution, right? As far as those things are concerned, lots of noise made in my end of the universe about the name raised, Howard Lutnick for Commerce Secretary. We still don't have anybody who's been raised as the definitive choice for Treasury Secretary yet. Let's see what happens. All right, let's see what happens. Let's see who actually goes through the confirmation process with the Senate. Let's see who then is actually confirmed by the Senate. And we could talk a little bit more about policy. All right, let's keep those proverbial carts and horses in the proper proximity until then. All right, let's keep going here. I told you the front end of today's show, we're going to be talking more on food today. Not that you need us to talk more on food here at WSIC. We thoroughly enjoy talking about food. I mean, it's primarily because of how much we enjoy eating, but also we just like talking about food. Food's fun. It is. It's absolutely fun. Got to talk about a big one. They were talking about this on Good Morning LKN, which, by the way, if you're not listening to Good Morning LKN, 7 to 9 in the mornings, Monday to Friday, Justin, Bill, Mamie talking about all kinds of good stuff, and probably they'll make you chuckle as well. But definitely they included this one on there, and I got to bring them up. Yes, because of their size. Yes, because it includes a publicly traded company in terms of the acquirer end of things, acquiring a private company. But it certainly has been a trend, it seems like, with some of these large, let's call them acquisition-style companies. I'm talking about Blackstone. Blackstone, ticker symbol Bravo X-Ray, BX, not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold the stock. Blackstone announcing that they have acquired the Jersey Mike's submarine sandwich franchise. You probably have at least seen Jersey Mike's. I've got a young family. I mean, we frequent Jersey Mike's. We really that seems to be the sandwich of choice right now. Not that we're saying no to other things, but when we have choices, it seems like one of the choices most desired is Jersey Mike's. So they're doing something right over there as far as sandwiches are concerned. And I'm not putting them down. I like a Jersey Mike's or two. As well. But the entire franchise has been bought by Blackstone. And this continues a trend that Blackstone has been engaging here for, I want to say, the last several years, where they have acquired a number of different franchises as they make greater inroads into the QSR space, the quick service restaurant style space. This follows up, if you recall, we talked about this last year. This is a private company now, Roark, ROARK, acquiring Subway. So Subway also fairly ubiquitous in the sandwich end of things as well. They were acquired by Roark. Roark, big franchise acquirer. They have a number of labels underneath their header there, and they had acquired Subway last year. Blackstone now agreeing to acquire Jersey Mike's here, excuse me, and then also very interesting, and we're seeing more of this in terms of the deal structure. Don't have all the details here, but this was put out on the wire as well. So the founder and CEO, Peter Cancro, is going to continue to stay on with them, probably with some kind of retention agreement. That's often how these things work, that when a Blackstone comes in, they want to keep key personnel, and that certainly would include the founder and CEO. So he's going to be staying on for a while. And then there's what's called an earnout provision, which we see a lot. whether it's small company, larger company kinds of acquisitions. We're seeing a lot. Not always, but we see it a lot right now. And what that earnout provision means basically is that for that full $8 billion price to be paid by Blackstone, it doesn't happen all at once. There's not just one big check, which, by the way, that would be a very large check. Can you imagine that? Getting a check for $8 billion? I don't think there's enough space, actually. I don't care. Even if you get one of those fancy checks, I'm talking about the ones that are made out of cardboard that sometimes, for charitable purposes or other kinds of things, or if you win a big prize, they put it on a big piece of cardboard. I'm still not sure you could put $8 billion on there because you'd have to, I'm not worried about writing it out. That's not a whole lot of words, but just the number of digits involved there. I don't think you could fit that into that space. It'd be hard to do. Anyhow, so not that I have to worry about it. But if you're talking about an $8 billion payout and there's an earnout provision associated with it, what that means is that there's a certain amount, don't know, wasn't publicly disclosed, there's a certain amount that's paid up front, and then there's a certain amount if the acquired company hits certain metrics. Now, one of the metrics which was publicly disclosed is that there would be a full payout, meaning all would be paid out, if the number of Jersey Mike's stores increased from its current level of approximately 3,000 stores in this country to 4,000 stores. Now, folks, I don't think I need to tell you, that's a lot of growth. That is a tremendous amount of growth, especially because Jersey Mike's has grown so much here over the last 10 years or so. Then to say a third beyond that is needed, meaning a third of the size of the company, a 33% growth above and beyond where they are today in order for that full payout to take place. So again, not an uncommon kind of structure to a deal, but just that's notable. I mean, so Jersey Mike's got to keep growing in order for all of the investors into Jersey Mike's, privately held company, to be paid out. So there's a lot of motivation. There's a lot of motivation by Peter Cancro, the founder and CEO, but there's a lot of motivation by all of the investors involved to ensure that that Jersey Mike continues not only to be the success that it has been today, but to continue to grow into that successful space, even in ways that they haven't done previously. A lot of motivation there. Going to be interesting to see. All right, let's keep going on the food end of things. Got to talk about this. I mean, I think they also talked about it on Good Morning Alcan as well. It hit my radar screen. I'm laughing about this one, but I mean, some folks are very, very serious about this kind of stuff. So I'm not making fun or poking fun at anything, but I do have to bring this up. And when it came across my screen, all I saw was a half-gallon jug and something that looked like barbecue sauce that was on my screen. And when I looked at it, I clicked on it because it said McDonald's and something about sauce. Yep, McRib sauce. You heard me say that correctly. You heard me talk a couple of weeks ago that the McRib making another comeback, all right, in select stores, McDonald's stores around the country. By the way, McDonald's, publicly traded company, Mary Charlie Daniel, not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold their stock MCD. But it came across my screen, and they are selling the McRib sauce. You heard me say that correctly. They're selling the McRib sauce in half-gallon containers. So you can just buy the sauce. So if you can't get the McRib sandwich, perhaps your local McDonald's isn't selling the McRib sandwich locally right now, but you would like to go online and pay $19.99 for a half-gallon jug of the McRib sauce, you can do it. I mean, pretty amazing. I mean, so I was trying to think of some applications for that because, we talk a lot about food. We think a lot about food here. I mean, it's finance, football, and food here on Dollars and Cents. That and actually for WSIC, I mean, we talk about food a lot here. But when we look, I was like, okay, so where do you apply that? I guess you could use it in the same ways that you would use other barbecue sauce on other things, right? Now you may disagree with me. You may be a purist who says it can only go on a what did it say? A reconstructed pork meat sandwich, which is what McRib is. I thought that was kind of interesting as well whenever we were looking at it. But you can, if you love that McRib sauce, if you're looking at it and saying, boy, that's something that I got to have, you can go online and buy it from McDonald's. Pretty interesting stuff. All right, we're going to warm up here a little bit, hear from our sponsors for a couple of seconds, and come back for the fourth quarter here on Dollars and Cents, presented by North Main Financial on WSIC.
We'll have more of Dollars and Cents with certified financial planner Joshua Dobi following these brief messages on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Oh boy, talk about a big change. Hope you got the winter coat out. You'll need it today. Sunshine is back, but it's windy and cold. High temperatures in the mid-50s, feeling more like the 40s when that wind's gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour at times today. Cold tonight, temperatures fall back into the mid-30s. A couple of us around freezing, waking up early tomorrow morning. Friday's just downright cold, low 50s. For highs, the weekend gets a little bit better. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Cakes, cookies, toys, and gifts.
The Southern Christmas Show, November 14th through 24th at the Park Expo and Conference Center. Buy tickets at southernchristmasshow.com. Online tickets courtesy of Craft Body Scan.
The Southern Christmas Show.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway begins Friday. The Holiday Light Show features more than 5 million lights on a 4-mile course through the oval, pit road, and infield. The show also has drive-in movies on the gigantic Speedway TV. Speedway Christmas tickets and information are available at charlottemotorspeedway.com. The Stony Point Volunteer Fire Department will host a barbecue chicken fundraiser on Saturday from 1 p.m. until they're sold out. The event will be at Station 1, located at 501 Brewerton Park Road off Taylorsville Highway in Stony Point. The meal includes barbecue chicken, baked beans, slaw, roll, and dessert for $10 per plate and will be a drive-through event. The proceeds from the fundraiser will go towards projects for the fire department. For further information, call the Stony Point Volunteer Fire Department at 704-585-2519 and leave a message. Sunday Fun Day returns to Lost Worlds Brewing in Cornelius. U2 tribute band Rattle and Hum takes the stage at 4 p.m. for a free concert powered by Waves Entertainment. Grab your chairs, your dancing shoes, and your friends to enjoy cold brews and a fun outdoor concert by Rattle and Hum. We'll see you Sunday at Lost Worlds Brewing in Cornelius for Sunday Fun Day. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
The Renaissance Festival is back Saturdays and Sundays, now through November 24th. Eat, drink, be merry at the Renaissance Festival. Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com. Don't miss it!
Call now to speak with certified financial planner Joshua Dobi at 844-STUDIO-4. It's dollars and cents on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Hello and welcome back to Dollars and Cents, presented by North Main Financial. I'm your host, Joshua Dobi. Thank you so much for hanging with us here. Fourth quarter of today's show, Football Reference. I appreciate you hanging with us. You got 11 minutes and 53 seconds until we get to the 5 o'clock bell. I appreciate you spending that time with us here. Just we were going to break there. We're talking on some fun things. We're talking about half-gallon jugs of McRib barbecue. I guess I'd call it barbecue sauce. I didn't really see that it was called barbecue sauce. It was called McRib sauce. So if there's a delineation between, let's call it more standard barbecue sauce, and I know I'm in the South here, so I really can't call it barbecue sauce. Let's call it the northern version of barbecue sauce. And in the McRib sauce, I apologize to all you purists out there who may be making a much more defined definition for it. And but I think you get the idea. If that's something that sounds good to you, you can buy it at $19.99 online to get a half gallon of it. All right, let's keep going. I got to give you some Thanksgiving fun facts, right? I mean, we're on the stretch run here. I mean, a week from today, yeah, it's a big day. I mean, you talk about fun food and football. I mean, that is Thanksgiving. For as far as I'm concerned. Let's get a few facts, though. Talking numbers here, talking dollars when it comes to all things that are Thanksgiving related. If you are one who is hosting the Thanksgiving holiday, so for family, friends, or maybe just yourself, I mean, it could be that kind of space as well. On average, you're going to spend, I know this is big. I saw this number. This is a little bit painful because I think we're hosting this year. But $475 on average. And that includes the drinks, the decor, the food, preparation process. $475 on average if you're a Thanksgiving host. Now, you may be the Thanksgiving host saying, boy, that doesn't even begin to touch on it. I mean, it's a whole lot more than that. You may be right, especially if you got a big crew that is going to be showing up at your place here on Thanksgiving. But on average, very nearly $500. Man alive, that's a lot. The amount of money spent on turkeys. Now, I saw this one. This kind of jumped out at me. I guess it's not surprising because not everybody's a turkey person. You know, not everybody is one. You know, not all families have turkey on Thanksgiving. I know, shock if you're one who does always have turkey on Thanksgiving. Ham's real big here, especially in the Carolinas. I mean, we got we got hogs here. I mean, so we've got lots of ham here in the Carolinas, especially North Carolina. But so we got a lot of ham here as well, and I love ham also. But just looking at turkeys, the amount of money anticipated to be spent on turkeys this year. I mean, I'll let you get a number in your mind there before I give it to you. $1.2 billion. Almost over $1 billion spent on turkeys. Now, turkeys aren't crazy expensive on a relative basis. You know, you're going to pay about $1.80, about $1.70, $1.80 a pound for a turkey, depending upon the size and the constituency of it. Over $1 billion that we're going to be spending on turkeys. That is a lot. How about this one? I know producer Justin would be very interested in this. I probably should have shared this with him before I came on air here. The number of pounds of cranberries, and I'm not talking about the stuff in the can, which I know he prefers. No, I'm talking about the fresh cranberries. Fresh cranberries, number of pounds of cranberries expected to be consumed this year, 80 million pounds of cranberries. That does not count the stuff that comes in the can. 80 million pounds of cranberries. I mean, I was trying to think of uses for cranberries. And I'll tell you, beyond cranberries, you know, fresh cranberry salad or something that you may have for Thanksgiving, and maybe a couple of them that goes in a good martini. I wasn't thinking of anything. I'm sure, you know, it's, good chefs, good cooks are out there going, you know what? There are all kinds of recipes that you can do with cranberries, and I'm more than happy to listen to them. 844 Studio 4, you can call in here. Let us know what you could use cranberries for. I couldn't think of anything very quickly, but we're going to consume 80 million pounds of cranberries over this Thanksgiving. That, folks, I don't care how you count it. That's a lot of cranberries. That's a lot of cranberry salad if you have that on your plate there. It also is the number one. You probably know this. This is not something that is particularly new or kept off the line. This is something that you hear a lot on the news. The number one travel week of the year in terms of the number of people who travel. It's not in terms of the number of dollars that are spent necessarily, but in terms of the number of people who travel this week. It is the number one travel week of the year. On average, each person is going to be spending approximately $500 for travel. That could be by car, that could be by plane, that could be by train, all of the modes of transportation. Number one travel week of the year. On average, folks are going to be spending $500 to be traveling during the Thanksgiving week, if you are one who's going to be traveling. Now, they're going to be half that are above, half that are below, obviously, for that kind of thing when we're talking about averages. But $500 per person. Another big one that really jumped out to me, I thought this was kind of interesting because so much attention is given to Black Friday. So that Friday that immediately follows Thanksgiving, you know, as being one of the largest, if not the largest shopping day of the year. Of course, we got Cyber Monday sitting out there a couple days afterwards. That is growing exponentially in terms of how much is spent on the Monday following Thanksgiving as well. But Black Friday is still arguably the big one that's sitting out there, both in person and online. This data point, though, this is the one I was digging through things a little bit here. This data point was actually for dollars spent on Thanksgiving. Now, I thought this was kind of interesting. So this is for mostly, almost completely actually, online shopping on Thanksgiving Day. So not on the Black Friday, not on Cyber Monday, but actually on Thanksgiving Day. One of the fastest growing online retail shopping experiences of the whole course of the year. I thought that was very interesting. I don't know, do you get tired a little bit later on in the day, right? You've had a couple of rounds of turkey and stuffing and maybe a nap and you're watching some football and maybe you're just, you're thumbing through your phone and you just start buying stuff. Well, apparently a whole lot of people are buying stuff on Thanksgiving Day. $6 billion. $6 billion online retail purchases on Thanksgiving Day. I'll raise my hand. I was very surprised by that. I thought that'd be one of the slower ones, right? Because folks are traveling, or they're with family or friends, or they're doing other kinds of things, eating too much, watching too much football. If you're someone like me, but no. $6 billion and one of the fastest growth rates, meaning in terms of the amount of retail purchases online, which are made on Thanksgiving Day itself. Very, very interesting. I thought that was kind of an interesting trend. Going to be interesting to see how that continues here over the course, not just this year, but over the course of the next several years, because there definitely is a dramatic move in the online buying space. And that's a very nice and easy pivot to talking about the markets, specifically about where the consumer is right now. It's going to be very interesting to see that because the online buying space, and yes, it's easy to point to Amazon, definitely one of the bellwethers as far as that's concerned, if not the top bellwether in understanding that. But it's not just Amazon. I mean, there are hundreds of other, maybe thousands of other high volume sites that, Walmart has a significant online presence. Target, significant online presence. We were talking about them earlier. That's the reason why I'm bringing them up here. But there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other sites for the retail shopping experience online, and it's been very interesting to see how that has continued to accelerate. But it's also true that a lot of folks like to go in person. Whether it's a lot of stores that open up at midnight, right, on Thanksgiving night, meaning the evening after Thanksgiving, going over to Friday there. They open up on midnight on Black Friday, running all kinds of crazy specials. You see all the video footage. Some of it looks a little precarious, frankly. Whenever I'm watching it, I'm usually watching it, of course, not usually. I am watching it from the comfort of a comfortable chair when it's happening or when I'm watching the replay of it. But a lot still of very much an in-person experience. But it is true that so many folks now are purchasing more and more online, especially as we're getting into the Christmas retail season. And then that speaks to the consumer, that speaks to market. So what do we anticipate? Well, you heard me talk at the front end of today's show here on Dollars and Cents about Walmart and Target because they are absolutely two of the largest consumer-driven retail bellwethers that are sitting out there. And so good indicators about where the consumer is right now. But one of the reasons why I shared it with you, A, yes, they just had their quarterly earnings reports, but B, because they were in literally diametrically different directions. So it's hard to determine where is the consumer right now. Well, I think it's probably some combination of that, right? So you're going to have some folks who are planning to spend more this Christmas season. There are some folks who are planning to spend less. And the real question comes from an economic strength standpoint. Where does that balance tilt? Does it tilt more towards folks who are going to spend more? Does it tilt more towards folks who are going to spend less? Don't know at this point. We make our very best and most well-informed guesses, but we really don't know until we get to post-op and understand what actually has happened on the other side of things. So we're watching it very closely, but I thought very interesting this week to hear such different perspectives from two of the largest bellwethers in that consumer-driven retail space. And so what does that mean? What is going to be popular out there? Where is money going to be spent? Is it going to be spent in the same volume? Is it going to be spent on the expected kinds of things? That's really what we're going to be watching. And that spreads to the larger market then. So with where we've seen things to this point, again, year to date, as measured by our most popular indices, still very positive. Now, you've heard me say this, and I feel like I'm caveating almost every time that I'm talking about the markets here over the last year and a half or so, but I feel like I have to because it is what we call a narrow market. Now, that narrowness has reduced, which means it's become more broad, right? That's a double negative there. That we're talking about actually an extension of the breadth of the market because there are also now other sectors of the market which have also popped up, especially post-election here. I'm looking at financials, especially, and yes, to some level, pharmaceuticals, but not altogether. And so when I'm looking at those kinds of things and looking at the overall market, saying, well, hard to outpace large cap technology, large capitalization technology companies this year. But there certainly have been a number of other sectors, financials I'm looking at most specifically, especially here in the last couple of months, which have definitely started to pick up pace. But you'd be hard-pressed to find a major sector which is in the negative this year. And so that's good, but it also provides a note of caution in my end of the world. Folks, things just don't go that way in perpetuity. So you want to make sure that you're measured in terms of your expectations. Take a look at your portfolio. Maybe it's time to trim some things. Maybe it's time to add to some things which haven't kept up as much. Or maybe it's good just to keep it as it is. Everybody's situation is certainly unique and different, so you want to make the decisions for the right reasons. Friends, thank you so much for hanging with us on this week's show. Dollars and Cents presented by North Main Financial. Make sure you tune in with us next week, Thursdays at 4, here on WSIC.
Serving you better than ever before. WSIC, Statesville, W290DK Mooresville, W264